Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to another live stream. Now, before we get into the video, make sure you join me on my Telegram channel. I left a link to that in the live chat and in the description below. So we post a lot of different trading setups throughout the week, and you don't be missing out on that. So make sure you go check that out. But like I said, we've got another live stream, so I can talk you through what's happening in the markets and any potential opportunities coming up as well. So first, we'll start with AUD/USD, and you can see that with this one. We're kind of still moving sideways. We had a nice bearish candle at 9 a.m. Sorry, 9 a.m. close of the 4H there. But again, we're still moving sideways. We've got those wicks all along there, and we've got the highs all along here as well. So essentially, we're kind of moving sideways into this resistance and just above this trend line as well. So it depends which way price wants to break out to. You see price break to the upside or to the downside. Again, if we break to the downside, we could see a nice move to potentially go and test the lows all the way down here of AUD/USD. And if we break to the upside, we've got a trend line going through the market where we can potentially see price go and test. As you see, you've got this trend line going through here, initial test there, second there, third. So we could potentially be seeing price go and test that if we do break to the upside. Again, it's right there. We almost had a test with that wick to the upside there, a few pips away, but didn't quite test the trend line. But nevertheless, we can still see a move to the downside if we go and break through this trend line here. But you still see we're kind of moving sideways for this pair. Probably still favouring a break to the downside from a daily point of view. Again, we'll probably have our targets around there. As you can see, previous support along here, and we've got the 200 moving average on the daily as well, just below it. So from a daily point of view, we're expecting a longer move to the downside. But yeah, again, we still need to break through the current support around there. And then once we do, we can see that happen. But as of yet, we're still moving sideways and still need to see price break out of this sideways movement to the downside or to the upside. Euro/USD, this one had a big push to the downside this morning. As you can see, it still is looking bearish. We've got a resistance up there that I was talking about my weekly analysis. I talk about this resistance along here, saying that we could potentially see a move to the downside from that area, because all along here was acting as resistance on the daily chart. This was a false breakout, and this was a false breakout as well. But nonetheless, you can see all the wicks at this area. So strong resistance, and we came to test that area, and you can see we're moving to the downside from that place. Again, you can see it wasn't that clean. I had to push the downside back up again, and it's like moving sideways, but eventually it's having its push to the downside. I do have this channel that I was looking at for EURUSD as well. There's the lower trend line, and I had the upper trend line going through like this, and you can see almost testing the lower trend line, so potentially you could be seeing price break through that area and then come to test support all the way along here. As you can see, support which gave us the move to the upside, and if we break through that, we've got support all the way down there, which again started this move to the upside. So there's a couple of places where potentially EURUSD could head to. We're probably looking at those places, and you can see it broke through this support area that I previously had to push to the upside from. So yeah, EURUSD is looking bearish, probably still expecting it to continue. Again, we've got the trend line just below where we can see potential price start to reject, but nonetheless expecting that to continue to the downside. USD/JPY, we're expecting and push to the upside for this one. On the daily chart there, you can see we're coming to a very strong area of support. We had another push to the downside yesterday, so we're kind of getting deeper into this support area, which is probably a good thing, because that's a better place to take our trades from. As you can see in the 4H, no real price action to get us in the market. As you can see, if you look left, we've got support here with the wicks there, so we're into some support area in the daily. But on the 4 hour, we're not. We just missed it by a few pips. So if price wants to move even lower, that could bring a better opportunity for us. But as of yet, on the 4H, the price action isn't really there for me, so I won't be looking to get into any USD/JPY trades as of yet. But we're still expecting a move to the upside for this pair. As you can see, we do have a nice trend line going through the market here, which gave us a move to the downside. And you can see a test there, push down, second test there, push down again, third test, and another push down. So you could be seeing another push to the upside to go and test that trend line again, and either we might see another push back to the downside, or price might break further to the upside. But yeah, still expecting to move to the upside. Don't know if we're going to have it now. If we do, again, we could be seeing that move all the way to go test the trend line up there. But for me, the price action isn't enough for me to get into the market. USD CAD. This one was starting to look bullish as well. We had a break out of our trend line that we're looking at on the 4H, as you can see, keeping price in this downward trend. we had a break out of it a couple of days now. We had a pullback as well, and then price looks like it's pushing to the upside again. We had this nice support area in the market here, support there, false breakout, support there again, and nonetheless we had a nice push to the upside from that same area. So again, could be seeing USD CAD really start to kick in now from a daily point of view. As you can see from a daily, we're starting to look bullish as well. Looks like price held at this area along here. As you can see, support along here, and it looks like it's holding. So potentially they've got a little bit of a double bottom going on the daily chart there. So test there, push up, test there again, and could be seeing another push to the upside. If we do have the move to the upside for USD CAD look start now, again we do have resistance just above us where potentially price could reverse. So if we get past through that on a daily time frame, we can probably be targeting all the way up there. As you can see, resistance which gave us the move to the downside. So again, that's probably the next key area on the daily chart. And if you break through that, we've got a 200 average just above it. But for USD CAD on daily perspective, looks like we're heading up. 4H again, we're still looking bullish. Although we do have the 200 moving average on the 4H just above us, so price might struggle breaking through that. But nonetheless, we are starting to look bullish and could be seeing a nice push to the upside for this pair. GPUSD is looking bearish as well. You can see we do have this lower trend line going through the market here, and looks like we're having a third test of that, and looks like we've got another trend line going through the market there as well. So I was saying that as long as we stay in this channel, I'm still expecting a move to the downside. You can see we had a big push, tested the trend line up there, and you can see price fell back down, and now it's bearish, and looking like we can have another test of that lower trend line there. But yeah, so for GPUSD, it's still expecting move to the downside. If we break through the trend line now, we can see a longer move. We do have this support area here in the market. As you can see, support all along here for those wicks, where the market could get attracted to if you do break through that lower trend line. But yeah, for GPUSD, still expecting a move to the downside. We do have on the daily chart, if I move this, we do have on the daily chart a bit of an upwards trend line in the market, as you can see. Connect the lows. So we do have an upward trend line in the market there, so it could be seeing price coming down to contest that for a fourth time. I can see once there, a second time there, will be a third time there. So potentially could be seeing price going to make a fourth test of the trend line there. But yeah, GBUSD is looking bearish and probably expecting that to continue. The next key area in the market for support levels all the way down there. So nonetheless, expecting that to continue. Yeah, we'll be taking a look at NZD USD now. Okay, so for this one, I got into a short trade in this one. I also handed out on my Telegram channel for a short trade. So at 9 AM I gave out a short trade, and you can see that we had a nice bearish candle closing below our moving averages as well. We were looking at this this channel on the 4H, as you can see here. I was originally in this trade as a short trade from last week. But as you can see, we had a push to the upside, broke through the trend line, and went and hit my stop loss, so I exited the trade. But as you can see, it looks like we're having the false breakout. It might just be a push to the upside, just to knock some people's stop losses off, as knock mine off as well. And we could be seeing a move to the downside from that area. So again, we're starting to look bearish as well. I'm probably treating that as a false breakout. So you can see price goes back below our moving averages, back into this channel as well. So nonetheless, still expecting a move to the downside for this pair, and potentially go and hit the trend line all the way down there. But yeah, looking bearish and expecting that to continue. You can see we had a big move to the downside prior to that, and this has just been moving sideways a little bit. But yeah, still expecting move to the downside of the USD, and we could be looking at a move all the way to the trend line down there. But we'll be looking at this area as well, because you've got the 200 average moving through the pair as well on the 4H, and you've got previous resistance and support there as well. So it could be a potential area where price wants to reverse if it wants to, but nonetheless still expecting price to make its way to the downside to go and test the lows down there. GBP/JPY, this one again looking very bearish, similar to GBP/USD, both looking bearish. We had this trend line going through the market here, and you can see on the 4H we saw price go and break that area. We had this trend line going up, got a couple of tests of the trend line there, third test, and nonetheless we went and saw price break it to the downside, which we were expecting. As you can see, we failed to make those higher highs here and essentially had a double top. So price was in that upwards trend, making those higher highs. But then once we tested it for the third time, pushed the upside, we failed to make the higher high, had a double top, and that is a sign that the trend to the upside could be ending. And you can see we had a nice push to the downside there, looking very bearish. So yeah, probably expecting that to continue. However, we are at some support right now, as you can see in the market. If I move this across, we've got support all along there, support there for the wicks. It looks like we are breaking through that area, but obviously we still got over 3 hours left of this candle before it closes, so we could see potentially price pull back up for JPY, but we are looking bearish. But again, we are into some support, so could be seeing some reaction there. But if price does remain bearish, we can easily see price go and break right through that, and then again we could be seeing price come all the way to the bottom there, where we've got support all the way down there. Again, that's more of a longer term move. Price is going to be moving up and down before it gets there, but nonetheless probably expecting price to reach there if we do remain that bearish momentum. GBP AUD, this one again starting to look bearish as well. For this one we had an uptrend going through the market, as you can see with the trend line here. Initial test there and a second test there, so it could be looking for a third test, and that could potentially be happening. So if price wants to break through this trend line again, we could be seeing a longer move to the downside. However, if price does have a push to the upside one more time from that trend line again for a third test, could be seeing price come out to give us maybe a double top, and then see price fall back to the downside and potentially go and test the lows all the way down there. We do have some support going through the market. If price was to break through that trend line, we do have some support where price could potentially reverse. Again, you can see along here, bit of a false breakout there, but essentially along here with all the wicks, that would be a nice area that potentially price could reverse. And obviously we've got support all the way down there where we had the initial move to the upside from. But nonetheless, we are looking bearish and probably expecting that to continue. So again, for me, no real trade here, as we are coming up to that support area where potentially could be seeing a bounce to the upside from. But for me, probably only expecting a move to the downside for this one. And if you break through the trend line again, we can see potentially those target places being hit. Next, let's take a look at NZD-CHF. Now this one looks like it's had a push to the upside, but looks like it's running out some steam and potentially could be seeing price fall back to the downside soon. Again, you can see that we had a nice push to the upside. We do have this trend line going through the market, which hasn't quite tested yet. As you can see, we're still quite a bit away, but nonetheless we have found some strong resistance in the market here. As you can see, we've got resistance there with all those wicks, push the downside. Again, resistance there, nice wick into that area, push the downside, and again nice wick into that area for a third time. So again, this is a strong area of resistance, and as you can see, the past 2 times price was at this area, we saw price got rejected to the downside. So again, you can see a long move to the upside. Again, you do expect some retrace at least as well. So we could be seeing a move to the downside for NZD-CHF from this area, just because we have some strong resistance on the 4H. But if price does resume and become bullish again, we do have this trend line just above it where potentially price could go and test before having that move back to the downside on the 4H. So that could be 2 places where price wants to have a move to the downside from. Again, we did have that wick into that area just now on the 9am close and that bearish candle, so it could be happening now. But nonetheless, if we do push the upside, we know where price could potentially be heading, and we could be looking for shorts if it does get to that same area. Euro NZD, this one we had a push to the downside. We broke through the trend line that we were looking at on the 4H. As you can see, you had this channel going through the market, connect the highs, connect the lows, and you can see that nonetheless we had a breakthrough that trend line there, and price remaining bearish. We had support going through the market there, and as you can see, we broke through that area as well. So again, this price was looking very bearish. We do have support not too far away from it, all the way down there, as you can see going through the market here. Previous support there again. So the market hasn't quite tested that area, but potentially could be seeing price resume back to the downside and potentially go and test the lows down there again. As you can see, Prior to that, initial test there, second test there. Every time we got to this area, we saw nice moves to the upside. So if price wants to trickle down, make its way to go and test this area again, that could be a nice place to look to go along for EUR/NZD. As you can see, it's a strong support area on the 4H chart. But yeah, right now I'm not going to be looking to enter EUR/NZD trade just yet. If it does move a little bit lower, that could be, however, a nice place to look to get into the market there. AUD CAD, this one was still pushing to the upside. We're still at some area of resistance though. I wouldn't say it's broken out of it just yet. As you can see, resistance along here, support along there, going to be turning resistance. And we do have this trend line going through the market as well. As you can see here, initial test there, second test there, third, fourth. Again, so right now we're having our fifth test of that trend line. So if we break through that trend line, give us a strong bullish candle to the upside, and then I'll probably say, yeah, we've broken through this level. Could potentially be seeing a move to the upside for AUD CAD. But you can see we're right up against that trend line in the 4H and right in the middle of that resistance as well. So as long as we stay below, I'm still probably anticipating a move to the downside for AUD CAD. But if we do break through, we could be seeing a longer move to the upside. And if you do see a move to the upside again, we could be seeing the move to the 200 average just above it, or price making its way a lot higher. And we've got the highs all the way up there if price wants to make that move. But for now, as long as we stay below the trend line, expecting a move to the downside, we can potentially aim for the lows down there on AUD CAD. But we're going to wait for a better opportunity to see whether we're going to hold at that trend line or not. But we could either see a nice move to the upside or to the downside for that pair. Next we've got Euro GBP. Now for this pair again, like I've been saying for the past week or so, or maybe even two, again not really clear for this pair. We do have a bit of a channel going through the market. If I connect the highs and I connect the lows, you can see we do have a channel going to the downside here. But again, a lot of moves to the upside and to the downside. A lot of bear candles there, a lot of bull candles. So again, as for direction, again, we're slowly just trickling to the downside, but the real direction hasn't really come through yet. We thought we had a breakout around here, but you can see nonetheless prices fell back down, and now it's starting to range again. We do have support going through the market along here. As you can see, if I zoom out, we got support there all along here. So first test, second test, third, fourth, and right now we had our fifth test just 9 a.m. this morning. So again, this area of the market doesn't look like it wants to hold, and potentially could be seeing price just ranging between this support area and that resistance higher up. Again, if we do get a break to the upside, we could be seeing a nice push, potentially go and test highs all up there. But again, we do have multiple levels where price could potentially reverse for UGP. As you can see, there's a level along here, and we've got a level along there, and we've got a level just below that. Again, so there's multiple levels here. So even if it does push to the upside, it might have a tough time doing so. So for me, I'm going to stay away from UGP as for now and wait for a clear opportunity for that pair to come around. EUR/JPY, you can see we're looking very bearish for this pair. Had a big move to the downside this morning. I was looking at this channel in the market here. As you can see, we've broken out of that channel and continuing to the downside. We came up to test previous resistance around there. We got some price action and price went to the downside. As you can see, we've broken right through the bottom of that channel, looking bearish, and essentially come back to test the lows of the 4H all along here. As you can see, support all along there, and we're coming back to that same area of support. So again, we could be seeing a move to the upside, but nonetheless, from a daily perspective, I'm still expecting a move to the downside for EUR/JPY to come and test the 200 moving average just going through the market below us there. So again, we need to break through the support area that we're currently at. As you can see, support there, we'll be at the support there again. So you can see we do have the bearish momentum on the daily chart if we were to close like this to go and break through it. So if you do see that happen again, we do have some targets at 200 moving average on the daily chart just below. So that could well be happening. So unless we get some very strong price action at this area, I probably wouldn't be looking for buys for EUR/JPY as of yet. But again, it is a strong area. Could see it move to the upside. So if you do get some strong price action, I might look to take advantage of it. But nonetheless, we are looking very bearish as of yet, and probably just expecting that to continue. GBP NZD, this one seems to be slowly trickling down to the downside. It looks like it's broken through the 200 moving average on the 4H. and slowly just seeing price falling back to the downside. Again, you got resistance all along there, holding price, initially test there, second there, and we had our third there, and now price has pushed to the downside. You can see it almost made a test of the lower trend line there, which is probably where we're expecting price to go when we were up here for GPNDD. Now we're almost at that lower trend line, so price wants to either hold that trend line, we can see, and move back up to the upside again, go and test the trend line or the highs up there. However, if we see price break down through the trend line, again we could see a nice push to the downside to go and test the lows all the way down there, which could be a nice place for a short trade. But if we do get to this area again, we'll probably potentially be looking for longs again for GPNDD. As you can see, if I drag this level across, it's a very strong support area on the daily chart. Support along here, push to the upside, support again, so that'll be acting support again for a fourth time. So again, on the 4H, that could be a nice place to take advantage of that support if you do get some nice bullish price action. But yeah, that's if we do break to the downside. If you see a price break back to the upside, again, could be seeing price going to test the highs of this channel again until we finally see price break out of it. NZD CAD, this one again looks like it's running out steam to the upside. We saw a big push to the upside from the trend line going through the market down there. As you can see, we had a first test there, second, third, and a fourth test on that trend line, and from that area we saw a nice push to the upside, and we saw price go and break through this bearish trend line going through the market. As you can see, multiple tests of the trend line, and saw price had a nice break through that area. But you can see we're starting to move a bit choppy now, and price is running out of steam to the upside. We are still at some strong resistance on the daily chart, as you can see here. So we got this resistance going through here on the daily time frame. So again, you can see resistance along here, resistance along there. Again, that'll be acting as resistance there for a third time. So again, a strong area of resistance every time we got here. Apart from the false breakout we had here, we saw a nice moves to the downside. So potentially could be seeing that daily level starting to kick in on the 4-hour time frame and see price give us a move to the downside. Obviously, we don't know how far we could potentially go. We do have some previous resistance and support here, though. As you can see, push to the upside, resistance, push back down. So again, potentially could be seeing price come to test this level here, at least on the 4H time frame, if we do hold at a level. However, if we don't and we see a longer push to the upside, we do have this trend line where potentially could see price going to. As you can see, initially test there, second there. We're not too far away from testing that trend line for a third time. So that could be an area where the market wants to go to. So if we do remain bullish, we can set price to go and test that trend line properly and probably look for some shorts if we do get there. However, for me, the price action not strong enough for me to get into the market for this one as of yet, but potentially could be looking for some short trades if we trickle up a little bit more to go and test that trend line. So currently I'm in 3 positions as of yet. I'm in USD CHF, which was a trade that I got in that I think on Monday. Yeah, I got a long position on Monday, and you can see where this trade's running quite nicely. We've come up to this, actually might have, yeah, actually broken through that trend line. This was my initial target for USD CHF, this trend line going through the market here. As you can see, initially a test there, push to the downside, second test there, strong push to the downside. So a third test could have seen us move to the downside as well, and in that case I probably would have exited my position. But as you can see, we're looking like we might actually break through that trend line, and if we do, could we see price go a little bit higher. We got resistance all along there, as you can see, with all these wicks essentially had to move to the downside from that resistance. So if you see price break through this trend line quite nicely, again we could probably see price move to go and test that resistance, which is probably my second target for this trade. But it looks like we could be seeing price break through this trend line and continue to the upside. And I'm also in ADCHF as well, but a nice push to the upside for this one. But again, it looks like we found some resistance along the market along here, which was my first target, and it looks like we could be seeing a move to the downside from that area. As you can see, resistance there, push downside, again resistance, and we had a bit of a pin bar out of that area. So if price was to start to close back below my moving average, I'll probably exit this trade completely. But yeah, I'm in those 2 positions, and I also just got into NZD USD as well. As you can see, we're looking bearish on this one as well, expecting a move to the downside to go and test the lows of this trend line down there. But yeah, we'll be looking at these trades and see how they go. How they go through the live stream. I'll also be commenting on other pairs as well. If anyone wants me to look at any different pairs, any different charts, just put it in the live chat and I'll make sure I get back to you. But yeah, we'll just be checking out these trades and see how they run throughout the live stream. Okay, so before I end the live stream, I'm going to quickly go through the charts and see what's happening since I last talked at 9 a.m. So I'm going to start off with AUD/USD for this one. You can see a big push to the downside. We're anticipating a move to the downside for this pair. And you can see with this current candle, we had a big push to the downside. Obviously, the current candle hasn't closed yet, but it's looking very bearish. It's looking very bearish, and probably expecting that to continue to the upside, to the downside. We didn't quite get a test of this trend line going through the market here. As you can see, we just missed it by a few pips to the upside there, but we did come for a retest of this resistance like we tested here. As you can see, again, retest it, and nonetheless see a nice push to the downside. So it looks like AUD/USD is on its way to go and test the support area down here. As you can see, support there, going to be acting as support there again. So that's where we're expecting this pair to go. Because from a daily point of view, we're expecting a move to the downside, potentially go and test the 200 average through the chart there, or support area going through the market here. So we've got our targets there from a daily point of view, and it looks like that could be happening as of now. And we could be seeing a nice move to the downside for AUD/USD. EUR/USD, again, still acting bearish. It looks like we've had, so far, prices breaking through the lower trend line that I was talking about earlier in the live stream. We weren't quite at the trend line just yet. And I was saying price could probably potentially go and break the trend line. It looks like it could be doing that as of yet, and we'll probably see a bigger move to the downside for EUR/USD. And again, probably expecting price to come and test this support level through the market here. And once we break through that, again, we've got the low down there for EUR/USD, which is where ultimately we're expecting price to go to. USD/CHF currently in a long trade for this one. As you can see, we're broken through the trend line here, and we're still looking bullish. So we're going to expect that to continue unless we pull back, of course, and give us like a pin bar. Then I'll probably look to close my trade, because that trend line was my target. But now since we've broken that, we'll probably be aiming for the resistance all the way up there. And if we get to that, again, probably might be looking to close my trade there. USD/GBP still looking bearish, but again, we're coming into this area in the market here, previous support all the way down there, which could be a nice place to look to get into some longs, but currently looking bearish. Still looking for buys for USD/GBP. The price action isn't really there. We're still looking bearish, and ultimately could be expecting that to continue, so I won't be looking to get into any trades for that one just yet. USD/CAD, this one's still looking bullish. Nice push to the upside. Looks like it is breaking through the 200 average and that resistance there in the market. We do have this area though that the market's currently at. As you can see, support there, resistance there. We'll be acting resistance there again. So I need to be watching out for that area because it will be acting resistance. But if we break through that again, we could be seeing a longer move to go and test the highs up here for USD/CAD, which could be a big move to the upside, even on the daily chart as well. GBP/USD, this one's still looking bearish. We've got the lower trend line going through the market like so. As you can see, initially test there, second there. Looks like we're having our third. And if price breaks through this channel again, like USD, expecting a longer move to the downside, potentially go and test previous lows down here. As you can see, support all along there. We'll be acting as support again. And if you see price go and break that, we've got support all the way at the lows down there. So potentially that could be a nice place for the market to target to from a daily perspective. But again, we're coming up to some support on the trend line there, so it could be seeing a move to the upside. But as of yet, we are looking bearish, and unless we change and get some bullish price action, we'll still be expecting that to continue. AJY looking very bearish as well. It looks like we're breaking through this support area through the market here with that candle. As you can see, it looks like AUD is very bearish at the moment. You can see on the daily chart, it looks like we're breaking through that level. Again, our target for AJY was to this 200 average on the daily chart, or this previous low in the market here. As you can see, it looks like with the break of that, obviously the daily candle still got half a day left to close. But again, looking very bearish and expecting price to move to this low down there. And that looks like it could be happening so far with AJY, unless, of course, we pull all the way back up. But unless price doesn't do that, we're expecting the momentum to continue to the downside for that pair. AUD/CHF, again, this one's looking bearish, probably expecting that to continue. CAD/CHF, again, that was looking bearish as well. As you can see, the current candle close is very bearish there, but again, not the cleanest market, essentially just ranging, as you can see, so no real clear opportunities for us. On the daily, doesn't look too good either. CHF, JPY, this one on the daily chart is really starting to kick in now. It looks like the daily starting to get back in to swing of things. As you can see, move to the downside. This move to the upside, we're treating that as retrace in the market, and it looks like price could be continuing that move to the downside as we expected. Of course, we've got the 200 average where we probably expect price to go to, or the previous swing low there. On the 4 hour, you can see a little better. Big move to the downside, still looking bearish. Broke through this trend line in the market here, and you can see from that break, price has been very bearish there. Euro GBP, again, not much has happened, just moving sideways. Still got that channel going through the market as so. Again, not really anything for us to get into any trades there in the middle of nowhere, so I won't be looking to put any trades on for that pair just yet. Euro JPY, this one's still looking bearish. Again, I was talking about this support level here. You can see we're currently breaking through that level, and from a daily point of view, that's what we were expecting to see, and price potentially coming to go and test the trend line down there, which again could be a nice area where price could bounce from. But again, if you do see a break through that on the daily candle, again, that's a significant break, and probably see price continue to the downside. Again, 4H currently breaking it, so unless we pull back up, we'll probably expect price to continue to the downside for that pair. GBP/NZD, this one didn't quite test the lower trend line, but we're starting to see price run out of steam and some bullish candles coming in to the play for GBP/NZD. So again, we could be seeing another move to the upside for this pair, and if we do, probably targeting the trend line up there. However, if we do move to the downside, of course, we've got the support just below us, and if we break through that, again, you could see a bigger move to test this support all the way down there. As of yet, not really clear which way price wants to go for GBP/NZD. I'll probably get a better view of that when the next 4H candle closes at 1 p.m. NZD CAD, this one's looking bearish. Of course, we're coming up to some strong resistance on the daily chart there. Go to the daily. You can see resistance there, going to be resistance there again. So of course, strong resistance is you expect some reaction to the downside. So if this one closes below our moving averages, this could be a potential trade for us at 1 p.m. on the 4H chart. So we'll be looking out for that for NZD CAD short trade. Again, strong resistance, could be seeing a nice move back to the downside for this pair. So we'll be looking out for that. NZJPY, again, big move to the downside. Previous resistance here, I was saying that we're expecting price to hold and see another move to the downside. Again, you see you're coming up to some strong support area in the market, and you're starting to pull back a little bit. As expected, a strong support area you can see in the 4H. This is essentially where we've been ranging. So if price finally breaks out of here, we can see a longer move to go and test the lows down here. Test the lows down there, which could be a nice place for the price to go to. That's if you do see a break of that support. As of yet, we hit support, so we'll see what price wants to do from there on. NZD/USD, I'm currently in a short trade in this one. It seems to be running okay. Nice bearish candle so far. Again, big push downside, expecting that to continue. Again, we've got the channel going through the market like so, a little bit of false breakout, which took me out of my original trade. And then again, targeting the lows starting of the trend line, but we'll be watching out of this level here in the market. As you can see, we've got the 200 average and support there as well, so we'll be looking out for that. Not quite at that level yet, but still expecting price to continue to the downside for this one. AUD CAD, this one's looking bearish as well. Like I said, we had this resistance go for the market there, and I wasn't really treating that candle that closed above it as a breakout. As you can see, it wasn't really clear. And you can see we've got this trend line going for the market as well, and looks like we had a test of that for a 5th time. We've got first, second, third, fourth, 5th time, yeah, and we could be seeing a move to the downside, so looking like that could be happening. Again, strong bearish comes to the downside. If it does close like that, we'll probably be expecting a move to the downside for AUD CAD. Again, we still got a little bit, like an hour and a half till that candle closes, so unless it doesn't pull back, we'll probably expect a move to the downside for AUD CAD from that trend line, and probably going to test the lows down there eventually on the 4H. JPY, this one still looking bearish. Had a break of that trend line yesterday or early this morning maybe, and you can see from then on we had a nice move to the downside, and price is looking very bearish. Currently we're talking about this support area going through the market, which looks like it could be seeing price break through it. As you can see, we've got all these wicks around there, so looking for price to break through that level. But if we don't, we could be seeing a little bit of a push to the upside first before price continues to the downside, because for this one, looking very bearish and expecting price to continue, but first could be seeing a bit of a pullback before that continues. And last, NZD CHF, this one looking bearish as well. Again, if that closes below our moving averages, potentially could be a trade, but then again we do have the 200 moving average just below it as well. So again, might not be the best place to enter a potential short trade, because obviously the 200 moving average will be acting as support, so it could potentially send price back up. But nonetheless, we are some strong resistance on the 4H. As you can see, resistance all along here. Could be seeing a move to the downside there. We're not quite at the trend line up here. As you can see, initial test there, second test there, not quite at that trend line, which could be a nice, probably a better place to get into the market. As you can see, the market will be a bit more extended if we got a move to the trend line up there. But nonetheless, could be seeing a nice move to the downside for NZD CHF. So yeah, currently in some positions now. We'll be talking about them again during tomorrow's live stream. Again, if you come to my live stream, I'll be talking about my trades there, unless I haven't got out of them, of course, but we'll be talking about them and seeing how they get on. We'll be going through other pairs as well, so make sure you come and check out the live stream tomorrow 9 a.m. And if you haven't already, make sure you follow me on my Telegram channel. I'll left a link to that in the live chat and in the description below. So I'll be posting a lot of different trading setups throughout the week, and you don't want to be missing out on that, so make sure you go check it out. But like I said, it's the end of the live stream. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I'll see you later.